Greetings, humans. Welcome, Sierra here. And it was put on my heart to have a conversation quickly about the divine source of the universe. God, Allah, Krishna, however and whatever word that you use to describe this infinite consciousness. And I grew up Christian, fell in love with God, always had a relationship with him. And in my later teens, I discovered psychedelics and Buddhism and Hinduism and, New Age spirituality and all these different things. And I obviously fell out of Christianity, and then I came back into it, and I fell out of it again, and then I came back into it, and I fell, it was always this dance, because I couldn't understand how one religion was the only one that was right. There was something fundamentally wrong in my body about that belief. And I was always someone who put the authority in others and everything else except myself. And the divine gives us gives us our own autonomy, gives us free will, gives us sovereignty and authority. And the fact that I had such an issue with this growing up and as I got older, it really messed me up in my head. And that's why I felt so fragmented between this and between that. Is this right? I was always asking, is this right though? Is this morally correct? Is this what God wants me to do? Am I just, it was just all these questions and I could never figure it out. And then one day I had a realization that if I understand God correctly, and God is this infinite, loving being, graceful, forgiving, merciful, how is it possible that a Hindu would go to hell? I almost said jail, would go to hell, and all the Christians would be the ones to go? It just never made sense to me. And that's where it got me. I loved the Bible. I will admit that I was not very well versed in it, and I would cherry pick certain things, and I wouldn't read it fully. I never read it fully, I'll say that. I have read a few of the books. I've not read it fully. But I love it, just like I love the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, because there's something fundamentally true about them all. And so I recently came to this place again where Christianity is knocking at my door. And instead of throwing everything away and being like, oh my God, I have to be a Christian again, I'm understanding, what is this call? What is Christianity or the Bible, or what is God trying to reveal to me right now through this? And how can I've always felt like all these religions, all these different practices, all were speaking similar things. And I'm someone who loves tarot cards. I enjoy astrology and all the things. And I also love the Bible. But how is that possible? That's forbidden, technically, right? But I'm on this journey, and I don't think we ever really get off the journey. But I'm on this journey of really diving deep and understanding how the bridges connect, what my personal belief system is, and what I am wanting to raise my children, or how I'm wanting to raise my children. Because I do believe that there needs to be a moral framework in our lives. I do believe that there needs to be a moral framework, and there needs to be a relationship with spirit. And this is something I learned through Christianity, was how to have a relationship with the divine. If you are someone who is in, New Age or whatever, you believe that the divine is within us, right? And I think that two things can be true at the same time. Christianity gave me a way to understand how to listen to the divine and how to have a conversation, and what that meant when they taught about, how to pray and how to communicate and stuff. I think it's really powerful to learn, if not anything else, just learn how to pray, how to communicate with the divine. And then, of course, it's still true that the divine is within us. We are an extension. We are a branch. We are, we are it also. And so it is also true that we can be having a conversation with our higher self, right? Because our higher self is that not really the divine? Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. But I just know for a fact that I am supposed to be sharing these insights. I'm supposed to be sharing my journey because there are so many people who are confident in what they believe. I'm not confident in what I believe most of the days. And, I see so much damage that happens when people speak with such authority and conviction that other people will listen to it and are susceptible to what? I just know that it leads people astray to their own thought process. And when someone speaks with such conviction, it confuses our brain. And I see this time and time again, so many of these content creators, so many people on the internet, God bless them, they speak with their conviction, they're set on their beliefs, and power to you. However, there is not a lot of people who are giving the microphone to us as the watcher, as the viewer, and asking us questions, bringing home homework for us to decide for ourselves, what do we think about that? How does this view or thought process, affect me? How does this show up in my life? What do I take from this? And what do I not understand from this? What path, or how can I find this information for myself, right? And at the end of the day, we all have our own paths. And I love the people who are convicted in their path. I love watching, I still to this day have two pastors specifically that I watch regularly because they are so convicted, they are so grounded in their faith, and I love what they say, and they are on point, they are aligned, they are clear, they are conscious, and they speak truth. However, what I do differently now when I take in that content is I will come back and I will reflect on it. We're not doing enough reflecting these days. We're just taking information in as truth And it really distorts what is actually true. So if I were to leave you with anything today about this message, and if you were to take home anything, it will be to question everything. Question your beliefs. If you are a diehard atheist, question that. If you are a diehard Christian, if you are, somewhere in the middle, figure out what you truly believe, what truly resonates with you. Not because someone else said that this was right, or this was the way, or this makes the most sense. Because we all have our unique and individual experience on this earth. And if we all had the same experience, the same religion, the same race, or color of our skin, whatever, we're the human race, we had the same skin color, we had the same houses, what would we even learn from that? How would we even evolve and grow when everything is the same? And so instead of preaching at people, instead of pointing the finger at people, instead of calling out certain practices or people or beliefs, let's be curious. Let's be a little bit more curious, because we're not always right, believe it or not. And I am not right most of the time. I don't feel like I'm an authority to talk about this stuff, but all I can say, and all my intention for my platform, is that I speak in a way that is curious, and that is figuring things out as I go along. And my views today may change tomorrow, but that is the beauty of life, is change. And I believe that if we start operating in a more open-hearted and curious way, I truly believe that not only is inner peace inevitable, but peace within our family, peace within our community, peace within our nation, peace within our world will inevitably happen when we stop pointing the fingers, when we stop believing that we are holier than thou, or that we are above anybody else, because we're not. Right? We're not. I'm not above you. You're not above me. We're all on this earth together. Okay? So that's my little story. And I will ask you to take these questions home with you and comment your answers if you would like. But the first question I would ask you is, what are your current moral beliefs? What are your spiritual beliefs? And are there any practices or religions or anything of that sort that you don't understand, or that you have maybe put off as like, oh, that's forbidden, I will never touch that, like a Satanist Bible or the Quran or the Bible? Is there anything that you don't personally understand? Because I've never read the Quran, I've never I've never read a Satanist Bible, I don't know what they really believe. So how can I sit here and say, well, you're wrong, when I don't have a fucking clue what they believe, And I'm not saying you have to go dive in and start becoming the religion and whatever, but just be curious. Just talk to people. Let's have an open communication, not only just on the comments, not only just within ourselves, but ask other people, talk to other people. ask them, like, hey, what are some of your belief systems? Like, oh, and just enjoy our differences. We don't need to convert anyone onto our side. I feel like we are only supposed to be sharing our experiences and what has worked for us and what has not worked for us. Maybe it'll work for someone else, and maybe it won't. Maybe it will hinder someone. Maybe it'll take someone out of what they're divinely meant to do by pushing your beliefs on that person, or condemning someone, or writing someone off, or constantly debating, like, oh, well, you're wrong, right versus left, Christian versus Mormon, all these different things. It's like, oh, okay, that's what you believe? Okay. I may not agree with that, but you do. Doesn't mean we have to be best friends. Doesn't mean we have to hate each other. But at least we slowly can open our hearts to other people. And with open hearts and with open minds, I am a firm believer that peace is just around the corner. Okay? Hopefully this has been helpful or has brought solstice. I am really wanting to stay disciplined in what my dharma is and how I need to show up, however uncomfortable or ugly or confusing it may be. But this is my journey, and I am not living my life for other people. I am not living my life for anybody or anything else, except I'm just trying to figure things out. And I will share along the way, and whatever happens, whatever comes out of it, will come out of it. So that's all I'm going to say. Peace.